All right, loved talking about the Pittsburgh Pirates. Let's chat a little bit about the Pittsburgh Steelers because before you know it, football season is going to be here. I mean, training camp is just 2 weeks away in Latrobe, Pennsylvania. But the funny thing is, as we'll talk about this over the next couple of weeks leading into training camp with the Steelers, there's not a lot of competition to watch. I mean, if you're talking biggest storylines at Steelers training camp, most of it isn't about position battles. It's about, well, it's the first training camp for Mike McCarthy. How different is that going to be with him versus how it was with Mike Tomlin? It's other stuff besides position battles. Yeah, everybody's going to talk about, well, who's going to be the backup quarterback? Is it going to be Mason? Is it going to be Will Howard? Is Drew Aller going to, shock all of us? That's why preseason's going to be fun to watch. But the only real position battle when it comes to starting roles is right tackle. And it's the Steelers' offensive line, which has been a question for a very long time. But it's just right tackle going into camp that really is a tried and true position battle. I mean, the good thing is you seemingly are seeing the Steelers try to find some stability at left tackle. They thought they traded up to acquire that stability 3 years ago in the 2023 NFL draft. They selected Broderick Jones 14th overall to be their left tackle of the future, to solidify that role first. Because let's not forget, back in 2023, it was the early days of Andy Weidl. It was the early days of Omar Khan. And what were they trying to do? Build from the line back. That's the mantra of Andy Weidl. And the first piece of that puzzle was trading up in the draft to select Broderick Jones out of Georgia. But since then, if we go season by season, since that selection was made, the left tackle position has been a revolving door. 2023, Dan Moore gets the nod because Broderick Jones is younger and they just didn't want to put him in that position right away. Well, Chuks Okorafor was so bad on the other side that Broderick Jones just ends up playing right tackle most of the season. 2024, they draft Troy Fautanu, and they want to put him at right tackle. They want Broderick to eventually take over for Dan Moore like he should have in year one. But then Troy Fautanu gets injured. Dan Moore stays at left tackle, and Broderick once again is bumped over to the right. In 2025, Dan Moore walks out the door. They say, all right, Broderick, this is your time to shine. Left tackle, let's go. And he starts to build some momentum. It wasn't pretty at the beginning, but he finally starts to build some momentum. And then the freak neck injury happens. And then Dylan Cook is your left tackle for the final 5 games of the season, starting the final 4. We fast forward to OTAs earlier this year. And who is it left tackle? It's not Broderick Jones, because he's still trying to come back from that neck injury. It's not Dylan Cook, who acquitted himself well in that position. It's Troy Fautanu, who played left tackle in college, but for the past 2 years has been shoehorned in at right tackle. Now, Troy Fautanu, a lot of these guys will all say, it doesn't really matter. I can switch left and right. I can play both sides. Fine. But something about it to me is play them where they played well enough to make you want to select them. Troy Fautanu was a left tackle at Washington. So I'm very happy to see Troy Fautanu at left tackle in Pittsburgh. And that leaves it whole at right tackle. Hence, the biggest, really only position battle going into training camp in 2 weeks. Who is going to start at right tackle? There is a leader in the clubhouse going into this thing, and it's Dylan Cook, who was your left tackle at the end of last season. He stepped up big time to start in those final 4 games, and it's one of the biggest reasons that the Pittsburgh Steelers were able to win the AFC North and go to the playoffs. If you look at Dylan Cook and what he was able to do, only 1 sack allowed and 1 penalty in 289 snaps at left tackle last year. Those are according to Pro Football Focus. So he's the leader in the clubhouse. He's the guy that is probably going to get the first crack at things when they get to Latrobe. Behind him are 2 names. Both of them first round picks in the past handful of years. I would say right now, second on this list, second in this competition, simply because he's healthy, is 2026 first round pick Maxi Honachor. I'm excited to see kind of how much opportunity is given to him, because this is a new coaching staff. Are they going to want to have Maxi Honachor kind of learn behind, again, not a veteran, 4 starts in his entire career, but learn behind Dylan Cook, kind of get his feet wet at the NFL level, kind of understand the day-to-day, the weekly grind, the scheduling of an NFL calendar before throwing him into the fire as the right tackle for Aaron Rodgers? Who knows? To me, that's the biggest question mark. That's the biggest thing I'm watching in this battle. Is I believe Dylan Cook will get the number 1 reps going in, but how much is that split going to be? How many reps is Maxi Honachor going to get in this training camp scenario? So you have Dylan Cook, you have Maxi Honachor, and then you have Broderick Jones, who, once again, seemingly will be moving over to right tackle, putting him out of position again, but in a position that he played for 2 years at the NFL level. He played in 2023. He played in 2024. It feels like he's the guy they're willing to risk moving around to get everybody else back into their natural positions. I already mentioned Troy Fautanu, back into the position he played in college at left tackle. Maxi Honachor was drafted as a right tackle, so he stays in position, but Mason McCormick moves from right to left. Mason McCormick in college was a left guard, so putting him back in his natural position. And then you do move Spencer Anderson from left guard to right guard, and Zach Frazier stays at the center. I hope this sticks. I hope these moves that they made in OTAs stick, because they have a lot of talent on their offensive line. I think that has always been the kind of buzz phrase for this Pittsburgh Steelers offensive line since, Weidl and Kahn started building it out. Is, man, there's a lot of talent there. They just need to find some consistency. They need to gel as a unit. And it's hard to do that when every year, even if you have a lot of the same faces, they're in different places. So once again, you've moved them. I'm hoping it's for the last time. I'm hoping that we now have at least 3 people, potentially 4 people, four offensive linemen in the spot they're going to be in for the next several years. I don't know what's going to happen at that right guard position. Maybe it's Spencer Anderson. Maybe it's someone else. But I'm hoping that this movement ends here, and we have Troy Fautanu at left tackle. We have Mason McCormick at left guard. We have Zach Frazier at center. And then eventually, Maxi Honachor steps up and becomes your right tackle. And all of a sudden, you have one question mark, and that is your right guard position. But everybody else can stay there, can build up some chemistry with the person next to them, and can find some consistency for the Steelers offensive line for the first time in a decade. That's my hope.